Justice League number 22, Shia Fontana writing and Phil Briones on art. Now, we've not been typically reading Justice League. Me and Matt, I think, struggled it out to the start of the second arc, and then we
Well,
were
it was
like,
me.
was it you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was me.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. I quit after that first one, after all the giant thing.
That's
And I
fair.
just,
That's fair. But basically, we didn't like Brian Hitch as a writer, and it was getting really repetitive and just not very good. So we stopped reading. I think we dipped in for one like tie-in issue to the event in December, but because that was a
Yeah, but
different
that was
writer.
by Seeley, maybe.
Yeah, I think that was Celia again.
Yeah, that was the Steve Trevor issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no. So the reason why we did this, because first of all, it's not Hitch. It's a one-off sort of fill-in. So that potentially was worth reading just because it's that. But it's also the writer Shia Fontana is the writer who's doing the 5 or 6 issue arc on Wonder Woman after Rucka leaves.
Yep.
I didn't know we knew how long it was. Just the temporary.
Yeah, it was like 5 or 6.
Story.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah. I can't remember exactly, but I remember them saying what it was. It was five or
No, fair.
six. So no, so we weren't familiar with her work, so we were curious to check it out. So we actually ended up all reading this. So it was kind of a last minute thing
Yep.
where I found out about this last night and made a point of reading it for the show. So here we are. This was a pretty fun little one thing. Like I say, Jessica got some good time in this. It was basically they're in the Watchtower. Lois and John are there. Lois is doing like a puff piece on the Watchtower for the planet, and the Green Lanterns are basically out dealing with some asteroids that are going to hit Earth. And they're talking about appearing professional in front of the rest of them, and then which is why I love when they go back onto the Watchtower, and Simon's like try to high five everyone, and like they all react. Like Diana's like, "Oh, I appreciate your your show of affection," kind of thing, and then Batman's just like, "Ugh." And then Simon's like, "Handshake, sir."
There's a couple of great Batman moments. It's I think the page before that where John's really excited behind him, and Batman just kind of
Yeah.
grunts, and John just gives him evils and then storms off basically.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, one of my favourite Batman things in this issue is I like that later on, when stuff goes down, because basically, if we find out the Green Lanterns brought in like a sort of little bug parasite thing and they have to be quarantined and they can't go down into the...
Yeah, because they were out smashing asteroids, to keep the satellite safe and whatnot. And
Yeah.
it looks like they brought back something.
So once that all gets going, though, I love that, like, so Batman's like, or Lois is like, I'm going to start investigating the science of this, and Batman's like, you're going to investigate? Because he's Batman. And she's like, yeah, I'm a good reporter, I'll have you know, I'm an investigative journalist. And then by the end of the page, though, she actually figures it out. And it's actually a really fun page. Her facial expression kind of... Because it's all these sort of very sort of thin horizontal panels of her face kind of changing as she's looking through things with dialogue. And at the bottom, when she finds out something, Bruce does turn around and say prize worthy Lois, because she made one of her points was that she was a prize winning journalist.
Journalist, yeah.
So it was a nice little because obviously you get the idea that Batman and Lois probably know each other relatively well now that Superman Reborn kind of rejiggered the history.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we kind of get that relationship back where he's kind of familiar with Lois to this extent where he can crack a little smirk and joke at her.
Yeah.
But I like that. That's cool.
This issue is full of just little moments. Another one is I think it's just before that page you're talking about where they're discussing whether or not they need to. It's where they quarantine it. But they've got Aquaman and Flash in on like the holographic hot comms to get their opinions, and John's just there putting his finger through Flash's holographic head.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. I don't know how the decision came about to have John be around in this issue, but it's kind of great.
It is.
I also like that John seems to be very friendly with Simon. Like he's like, "Hey, Baz," and he's the first high five. So there's a lot of fun stuff like this, and like I say, it's a Jessica issue, probably more so than anyone else's because she feels really anxious about the fact that I screwed up again. I brought this parasite on board and all the rest of it.
And you see Baz too, he's like upset that they're considered the rookies still.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, we messed up. And you see him throw the chair in like his quarters. And then Wonder Woman comes in kind of like to... I didn't think she was coming to calm him down, but definitely she's going to talk with him because they need to... him and Jessica need to be a unit still.
Yeah. And she makes them train with her and they fight and... Like, they kind of beat her, and then she's like, oh no, you give up your foot. And it was almost like the Batman Begins thing with Ra's al Ghul, where he's like, oh, you've sacrificed your footing for a king stroke. And
Yep.
Yeah, then she sweeps the leg basically. Yeah, and then the monster swarm happens, and then they fight it, and they deal with it, and they realize it's because the Queen's attached to Jessica. It's her emotions that are controlling it, so she has to just get control of herself, and that's what ends up fixing it. And then her and Baz take it away. But then again, it's the character stuff that makes this issue work. Because at the end of the issue, Wonder Woman's like, no, I wasn't training you and Simon. I was training with you and Simon.
Right.
You're part of the team, and I think the point of this issue more than anything was to make them feel a bit more established as part of the team, which is because I think they say at the start, every time we walk in the room, it takes them a minute to remember we're not Hal Jordan. Was one of the lines. So also another fun little moment I liked was Cyborg playing video games with John. He's like, "No, you're playing video games. Here's a fancy hologram video game."
Yeah.
So,
I also like that when they dispose of the parasites, which they don't kill, like they treat with respect.
yeah.
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
an
They didn't do
alien
anything
thing.
wrong.
Yeah, like they're just reacting to what they are.
Because that was one of the points at the start, actually, when they're discussing it. And they're like, let's kill them. I think it's Wonder Woman who says, no, the life forms could be sentient. Even just because they're small doesn't mean they're not intelligent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they go to take them to a farther away, like asteroid field, so they can keep living. But Simon's put them in a ant farm
Yeah, it really feels like
right.
he's learned his lessons
from Kyle.
Yeah. It's like he's a bit more inventive.
Yeah,
Yep.
synergy.
Because before it would have been just a jar, a big bucket.
Yeah.
But no, now he's gone. I'll put an ant farm.
Yeah,
and he's
with the
like-
books. It's nice.
And so Jessica's like, "Did you have to put them in an ant farm?" He's like, "No, they love it. Look, I gave them a little barn. Like it's great. Like, and it was full of personality. So I'm looking forward to what Fontana does. And as we were talking, I was looking up. It is 5 issues.
Right. Can we get Jessica on this arc, please?
I think it would be cool.
Well, I like. There's not a ton of Wonder Woman, but the Wonder Woman that's here seems good.
Yeah.
So it seems like she's got a handle on that. And then I love
she has a presence to her. Like she writes her as a stateswoman almost, even amongst all these superheroes.
And we mentioned the ending when Wonder Woman says, "No, I was training with you. Steel sharpens steel," kind of thing. I just love the final panel as Jessica like, "Oh, I'll be 1 minute," and she just flies outside into space and just so she can squeal in
I love
happiness.
that you can just see Wonder Woman and Baz at the bottom just looking up at her going, basically, what a nerd.
Admittedly, I actually like the art throughout this issue. I do think her pose in that flying in space shot is a bit weird.
It is strange, yeah. But the rest of it's pretty good.
Yeah, the rest of it is pretty good. It's just that weird upside down, sticking out the boob shot for some reason is just really obscure looking.
Yeah. And I have to say, this has left me looking forward to that coming up arc on Wonder Woman because, like I said, I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
I'd never read any of her work before, but
I'm assuming they're telling the truth that it's temporary, but I'm wondering if this issue and then the 5 issue on Wonder Woman is like a little test for her, because maybe they're thinking of her for something else full time for another ongoing.
Yeah. Well, because she already writes the Superhero Girls series, so and this was super light, and it was nice to have a Justice League book that wasn't about the world ending. It was them interacting as a team, and we need more of that. So even if this was her tryout, so after Wonder Woman she goes to Justice League, I wouldn't mind stories that are more light like this, and it's about them problem solving.
I often say this, but you have the events for the big end of the world stuff. I feel like my perfect ongoing Justice League book is basically Justice League as a sitcom set in the Watchtower, where it's just them hanging out and dealing with stupid. I want an issue of Justice League where Cyborg is arguing with Flash or maybe Aquaman because he's not cleaning the toilet after himself or something. Some mundane issue about living together on the Watchtower.
Well, I would love Cyborg just going, "Flash, it'd take you less than a millisecond to clean the bathroom."
And he's like, "It's the principle that matter." So
Vic,
it's the principle. I'm not doing it.
Oh yeah. It goes back to, I think it was in John's Justice League, where they were like, "Come on, Barry, it'll take you 10 seconds. It'll take us 3 days." And he's like, "Yeah, it'll be 10 seconds for you, but for me, it still feels like days."
Yeah.
This is a fun issue. I really hope they get Hitch off Justice League soon and put someone like Shia on this book, because it really it was just fun.
This was a lot of fun.
It was fun. It was just good character stuff. It wasn't the most amazing story ever, but it was the fun. I think in a book where you have all your characters together, that's kind of what you want more than anything else. You want them playing off each other. You want those interesting dynamics.
it was nice to have an issue of this book to pop in and go, oh, I can read an issue of Justice League, and it's fun. This is nice.
And it is completely standalone. You don't have to be reading the series to enjoy this.
Exactly. And I like that.
And like we said, it ties nicely into what's been going on with the Lanterns and Green Lantern. So
it's definitely worth getting and showing DC the message that we like this.
If anything, I'd almost argue they should put this in the Green Lanterns trade that would correspond. Like maybe after the arc we just read, put this issue in there in that trade rather than in Justice League.